Windows Movie Maker is a program that will allow you to make a movie out of photos you have and also video. So you'll have to decide if you're going to just use still images, video that you've taken, or a combination of both. So I'm going to start a brand new project. And the first thing you're going to want to do is add those videos or photos. And of course you can keep adding them, but until you add some of those elements, there's nothing to edit. I am going to make a movie about my summer vacation. So I've collected some pictures in a file, and you will have all of your pictures saved in one file. If I hold down the Control key, I can select multiple photos. And if I click Open, it automatically adds those pictures to my editor over here on the right. So at any time, I can click play on the left and see where I'm at so far. And by just adding photos, I have basically a slideshow of images, just kind of scrolling through them, and I can pause it and continue to work on it. So at any time, if you want to see what you've done, you just click play over here. I also want to add a video file. So I have a short clip here, click open, and then it adds a video file, and obviously it looks a little different, so you know that that's a video and not just an image. So I can move these pictures all around. I want this picture to be my title slide, so I'm going to add it there. And I think I'm going to put these pictures from the waterfalls there. So now I have some images and video. So whenever I click on one of these images, you can see that one of my menus up at the top is highlighted, the editing of the video and the images. If I click on there, I'm allowed to set the duration of that slide. So if right now that is going to play for 7 seconds, but if I would rather that it would play for less or more time, then I can just change that right here. On my video file, when I edit, I have different kinds of tools. For instance, I can change the speed of that video if I want it to move really fast, and I can change it so that it is in more of a slow motion. So you'll have to decide what works best for your video. The trimming tool will allow me to cut and trim that video down. And I'll just use these sliding bars down below the video to trim the video. And you can press play at any time to see where you've trimmed it before you actually save that trim. And once you've trimmed it the way you like, you'll click on Save. Now, let's say you want to cut out the middle part of the video. What you'll need to do is trim the video, trim the first half of the video, save it, then add that exact same original video clip again, and trim it so that you just have the second half of the video. Okay, so that's the trimming, and make sure you save it. But of course you can preview it as many times as you need to before you actually save that trim. And even if you don't like the way you've trimmed it, it's not permanent because the original video file is still saved in your folder. Okay. After that, I can add animations. So this is similar to PowerPoint, like how it will move from one slide to the other. And I can choose the transition. So whichever transition you put on that particular picture, that's how the transition will work into the picture you're working on. And again, I can change the duration of that transition so that it happens quickly or happens a little bit slower. Okay? If I click Apply to All, it'll put the same transition in for all of them. The pan and zoom over here is kind of the movement of the photo. So if I pan and zoom, then you can see how it moves across the photo like this. The photo moves rather than staying in one place. So you'll have to think about which one of those you really like on your photo. Okay? And again, I can apply it to all or none at all. If you're just going to have images and no video, then you're really going to want to make sure that the images are moving a little bit so that your video seems a little more interesting. Okay? For visual effects, I can put different filters on the photo, similar to what you would do on Instagram. But again, you want to make sure that the animations and the visual effects you use really make sense for your video, and that you're not just putting them in without a clear vision of why they're there, because it can be distracting for your viewer. The next thing I want to do is go back to my home menu and look at some of the options I have here. So of course I can rotate my photos if they're not the orientation that you'd like. But what else we can do is we can add titles to the photos. So in this first photo, I want to put the title of my movie. Okay, and I can edit that text by changing the justification. I can make it bigger or smaller. I can change the font, bold it, all of that. Can also change the background color. I like this color because it's similar to the flag for Argentina. Okay, and then if I want to add text that actually goes on top of the picture, then I would want a caption. Okay, so maybe I want this picture to be my title page rather than a blank title slide. Then I would just want to move this to the middle. I'm going to change the color so that it's easier to see. And I'd want to make it bigger. And then I can just delete this slide by right-clicking and hitting remove. Okay? So caption will add text on top of a picture, and title is going to add a whole new slide. Same with credits. That will add a slide at the end. That tells you a little bit about who made the movie and whatever else you would want to put there. Okay? I'm going to add some more captions. And you'll notice that once I put text in, a new menu is highlighted at the top, Text Tools. And so I can decide, do I want the text to fade in, or do I want it to just be there? Do I want it to be for a less amount of time? Notice how this bar is small. That is telling me that this is going to play for 7 seconds, the slide, but that the text is only going to play for 3 seconds. Okay? And we'll see how that looks in a little bit. All right. Another thing I might want to do is add music. So if I click Add Music, I have saved some music that I found on Sounds Abounds, which is a good place to go for music because it is copyright and royalty free, so you're able to use it. And you'll notice that now I see this music on top of my images and my video. So that means it's going to be playing at the same time. Okay, so the music is playing and it's pretty loud. So if I go to Music Tools, Options, the first thing I can do is choose a fade in. Do I want the music to start soft and fade in, which I think I do, and then I want my fade out to do the same thing. But I also want to choose a music volume that is complementing the images, and especially if you have video, I want to go and preview what it's going to sound like with my video. Still a little loud, but you can adjust that to make sure that if you have somebody speaking, that you have got the music to a volume where you can hear the speaking on top of that. Okay, so this is how you're going to create a movie in Windows Movie Maker. Now, saving in Windows Movie Maker is also important. while you're working on the project, you want to use the exact same computer every day, because you're going to be saving this as a project file. Okay, so I'm going to save project into your user folder in the home drive, because a project file is different than a movie file. It's only creating a shortcut to photos that you've saved. It's not actually putting the photos in your movie until you've made it into a movie file. So that's complicated, but if you go and you work on this on a different computer where your photos are not saved, none of these photos will show up. It'll just be black and it'll tell you that there is an error. So you need to make sure that while you're working on it, that it's in a project file. It's going to be really difficult for you to take the project home and work on it, because your photos are not in a file at home. They're on the school's computers. When the movie is completely done and you're totally finished with it, then we say save movie, recommended for this project. That will create a movie file that is a WMV, and it will play just like a movie. A project file is going to automatically open up Windows Movie Maker for editing, whereas a movie file is just going to open up your whatever media player you have on your computer and start playing the movie. So, see, it took a little while to create my movie, and now I have that movie here, and you'll see it's saving it as a movie file, Windows Media Movie File. I'll just put it on my desktop so I can show you. Now when I click save, now it's making my movie. So this takes a little time. And again, you're not going to make the movie until the very end of the project, when you're completely done with it. But what you're going to be turning in is a movie file. Once this movie is saved completely, I'll show you on my desktop. I have that movie saved. And now I open it up and it's saved as a movie file. Okay, so this is how you're going to make a Windows Movie Maker movie.